The United Nations said in 2014 that decades-old persecution of Rohingya Muslims at the hands of the Myanmar government could amount to crimes against humanity, and this has led to a large exodus of Rohingya population across the globe, particularly to the neighboring countries like India, Bangladesh, and the distant neighbor like Pakistan. And here in the port city of Karachi, this is Arkanabad, where a large number of Rohingya population have been living for over 4 decades now. And despite all those years, they don't have any legal status here in Pakistan. In this edition of INfocus, we'll ask why parliamentarians and rights groups have failed to push for some legal status for the Rohingya community of Pakistan. Pakistan's port city of Karachi is home to the largest Rohingya population outside Myanmar. The first migration of Rohingya Muslims started about 4 decades ago, when they were welcomed here. Therefore, the migration continued as the violence against Rohingyans did not stop in Burma, the old name for Myanmar, but then the circumstances in Pakistan turned against them. Now, after over 40 years, when their number, according to some conservative estimates, has reached over 250,000, they face identity issue in the country that makes them vulnerable to daily police harassment. Arkanabad is a slum named after Arkan province of Myanmar, now known as Rakhine. It is the main town of Rohingyans living in Karachi, where the living conditions are at its lowest, with bad water and sanitation facilities. Here we met Noor Hussain Arkani, who says he was born and raised in Karachi and managed to get national identity card. His parents fled the persecution and took refuge in here.
We have been living here since 1962, when Field Marshal Ayub Khan allowed us to settle down on humanitarian grounds. And this is a historical fact. Since then, Rohingyans have made this place their second home. I am a Pakistani national now, but most of us are not. I have also faced difficulties renewing my own ID. Initially, there was no problem for us. Now, however, after showing all the documents, including utility bills of electricity and gas that are all in our own names, do not make any difference because the authorities here do not listen. The voting lists also show that we have voted in the Pakistani elections, and our children who have Pakistani birth certificates are also denied any legal status here. The NADRA, or the National Database and Registration Authority, does not accept our claims and keeps annoying us when we go back to them to renew our national identity cards. I request the authorities to have mercy at least on those who have national IDs, and those who do not have it should be granted some legal status, so they could avoid daily harassment at the hands of the police.
The identity issue of Rohingya Muslims is also haunting their children because without any identity, they cannot send their children to school. While we were talking to Hussain, a person from the next neighborhood, Noor Muhammad, came to tell us about his friend Muhammad Rafiq. He was recently arrested by police while he was on his way home from a factory where he used to work. Noor Muhammad took us to his house that was a scene of despair. These are the kids of Muhammad Rafiq, who has recently been arrested by police here in Arkanabad, just because he doesn't have any identity or any legal status here in Karachi. He doesn't have any means to bribe the police either, because according to their neighbors, they could not afford any bribes to police department. Rafiq's neighbors told us that his wife has gone to the local police station struggling to get her husband freed, while her children were hungry back home, waiting for food. Near to the local jetty called Ibrahim Hadri, where most of them work, we met with some Rohingya laborers who told us about their experiences of daily police harassment. Ahmed is a fisherman from Rohingyan community who says he hardly earned $100 a month, and police asked for over $150 for a release after arresting us.
They stop us here at our workplace or on our way back home from here, and after frisking, they ask for IDs. If we say no, they get us on their vehicle and take us to the area police station and detain us for as long as they want. And if we do not pay the amount they want as bribes, they send us to jail.
Rohingyans are also exploited by the local industries, particularly the fishing industry. Since they don't have any ID, they provide attractive, cheap labor to the local employer. In these neighborhoods, we found different types of Rohingyan labor that meet the needs of local industries. They make carpets and fishing nets for local vendors. This man, Ahmed, makes carpet at his home for a middleman and also do other jobs to make ends meet while keep himself hiding from police.
If I work in a factory here for the whole day from dawn to dusk, then I'll hardly earn $3 to $4. And if I work at home for a local middleman, he will pay even less. I prefer doing work at home because of the police patrol that spares no one. We went to the National ID office, but they kicked us out. Despite that, we have been living here for over 40 years now.
His sister told us that after they arrest her men, we women are left helpless at home and we cannot afford police bribes. Boat manufacturers also use Rohingyan workforce that does not have any bargaining power and can't fight for their rights. Some Rohingyans did manage to have Pakistani IDs like this one. It expired in 2010, and based on this ID, Qadir managed to have a passport and went abroad. But when these IDs expired, he says they cannot renew it because National Database and Registration Authority asked for very old residential proofs of their grandparents, which they don't have. So at the end of the day, they end up at the police harassments in the streets.
About 10 days ago, I was here at work and my younger brother, who is not even 18 so far, was arrested while he was working in water down there. They asked him for his card. He said, "I am still under 18, but they took him to the police station." Soon after his arrest, we went with all our documents, birth certificates and IDs of our parents, but they were asking us for 40,000 rupees, which we could not pay, so they sent him to prison.
To know what police has to say about these complaints, we went to the local police station, and they denied the allegations.
It is the foreign cell that is responsible for Burmese, Bengalis and other nationalities. We only assist them. There is a different procedures for foreigners. If we find non-Pakistanis without proper documents, we arrest them and hand them over to the foreign cell that works under the special branch, who takes their issues to the court.
Police told us that they work in coordination with NARA, or National Alien Registration Authority, a registration authority that used to register foreigners in Pakistan. NARA has been suspended and it is now NADRA, or National Database and Registration Authority, that is in charge of both foreign and domestic registrations. Despite several phone conversations and email correspondence with NADRA official and spokesperson in Karachi and Islamabad, they did not answer a question. However, our sources in NADRA told us on the condition of anonymity that confusion on the status of Rohingyans is because of the lawmakers in the parliament. They have so far failed to decide on the immigrants' fate. That is why on one side you see some of them have passports and IDs, and on the other they face arrests. Our source in Nara, who used to work there when Nara was active, told us that Rohingyans do not have any legal status in Pakistan and they are treated as aliens, even those who came here 40 or 50 years ago. Zia Ahmed Awan is a Supreme Court lawyer who did extensive work on issues of human trafficking and illegal immigration, including trafficking of Rohingyans, particularly the Rohingyan women and children. He divides Rohingyan immigrants in two categories, before and after 80s. During the time, the then military dictator Zia-ul-Haq facilitated Rohingyans with promises of citizenship, but they were brought here for Afghan jihad.
Well, my understanding as far as the law is concerned, so they are still stateless. That is another thing, that without changing the laws and without giving them a proper nationality, if the ID cards or passport is being issued. So strictly speaking, if you read law, as a lawyer I'm talking about, particularly when you interpret the laws on citizenship and also the act under which NADRA is working, National Registration Authority. So under that, the Burmese population, especially Rohingyas, because we have mostly Rohingyas, so they are not having a legal status, but they are having ID cards, they are regularly participating in the economic development, they have a positive side also, because Pakistan is, I think, it's a great challenge for Pakistan having so much migrant population, documented and undocumented both. As far as the parliamentarians are concerned, in Pakistan, this is pity that the parliament is not taking the real issues. They are mostly talking on different issues. But Pakistan is full of migrants, and some migrants, I feel that they have a right to stay here, and some have to be documented. I'm not saying that they should be thrown out, but when they are here, they are with their 4 generations or 3 generations. So we have to think about it, not just as an extremist. We have to think about it humanly. Like I say that the Bengalis from Bangladesh, I think we should not throw them out because of the reason that they were born Pakistanis.
The nationalist politicians in Sindh province, however, take rather a strict opposite stand on this issue. How the Sindhi nationalists in the southern Sindh province think about the Rohingyan identity issue in Pakistan is another important question that brings us here at Khalik Junejo's house, who represent GS Sindh Mahaz in southern Sindh province. Thank you very much for being with us. Tell us how you see this Rohingyan identity issue. Do you think that they should be granted some sort of a legal status?
Giving someone a refugee status or accepting them as naturalized citizens who spend decades in a country, these are things which are acceptable for normal countries with healthy economies. The situation of Sindh as a province of Pakistan is not normal. Our resources are already overstretched. In Sindh, since Pakistan came into being, from the very first day, we have witnessed an influx. Initially, this influx was from colonial India in the name of religion, and then from other provinces of Pakistan for economic reasons, like from Punjab, KPK, Kashmir, Baluchistan, and also from neighboring Afghanistan. We bear the economic and social brunt of all forms of refugees in Sindh. We simply cannot afford more refugees or non-Sindhis in Sindh. In the Afghan war, we saw 1.5 to 2 million Afghan refugees in Karachi alone. Not just that, but also from Bangladesh and Burma. A large number of immigrants came to Karachi. In simple and straightforward terms, Rohingyans and other immigrants are not welcome here.
Back in Ibrahim Hadri's constituency, where Khanabad is situated, the ethnically Sindhi local minister Shafi Jamud of the ruling Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz holds the same nationalist position vis-a-vis the new Rohingyans. But he takes a different standpoint for the decades-old Rohingyans who voted for him in his constituency.
Karachi is not a global orphanage. Why these Burmese and Bengali colonies aren't in the rest of the country? Why are they only here? If they are here, then they are a burden on Sindh, our resources, our water, agriculture and employment opportunities. The local Sindhis are at the receiving end of this economic loss. The loss in fishing at our shores and water and sanitation problems are because the existing resources are overstretched due to these outsiders. We are overburdened, and now the native population feels that they are at risk of extinction, and even their identity is at risk. There should be a framework for these immigrants, and only those who are nationals and locals should be allowed to vote in elections. Those who are not nationals, they should at least be recognized as outsiders, and they should be given their limited options as outsiders, not as citizens. They should be under strict surveillance because of bad law and order.
To understand the standpoint of the right-wing political parties like Jamaat-e-Islami, one of the largest political-religious parties of Pakistan, over Rohingyan issue, I'm going to sit down with Munawwar Hassan, senior leader and former chief of Jamaat-e-Islami. Hassan believes the Rohingyan issue should be looked at based on humanitarian grounds.
Basically, it should be looked after as the human issue. And as far as Karachi is concerned, Karachi knows Rohingyan people for the last 40 to 50 years, most probably. And they have proved themselves to be good citizens of this city and country. And confirming the norms and civilization details, whatever on whatever subject we may talk about. I have personal relations with many thousands of Rohingya in the whole of country. They have been coming to us and we have been visiting them for the last so many years. But not only that, the international fora and international community does not pay any heed to this community, to Rohingyans. Whatever has been done by Pakistani government or Pakistani administration, that is also a matter of rehabilitation. And in all forms, I think that the law enforcing agencies are trying to trouble them and to make them shift from one place to other. And although they have contacted in all possible way to the administrative units in Karachi and in different other parts of Pakistan.
But the rights groups like Human Rights Commission of Pakistan or HRCP have a different take. Zohra Yusuf, the chair of HRCP, says more should be done at the global level to resettle Rohingyans at their hometown.
It's certainly a humanitarian issue because they faced persecution in their country and they were forced to flee. You know, they have tried to settle in Bangladesh and later they were forced back. And, you know, they took a great deal of risk in coming to Pakistan. Like, you know, they had to cross all of India, all of Bangladesh and all of India to, you know, come to Pakistan. Now, as far as, you know, Pakistan's position is concerned, it already hosts one of the largest refugee communities in the world. And it's perhaps too much to expect of the Pakistan government to keep on, you know, accepting refugees. With its, obviously, resources are stretched. Even its own citizens are not well looked after. So yes, that aspect is there, and perhaps that's why we haven't seen a more positive response from the parliamentarians or from the government. But I believe that if their status as refugees is acknowledged rather than as illegal migrants, life would be a little better for them. They could come under the protection of the Human Rights, you know, Commissioner for Refugees, and you know, they would then be entitled to a bit of, you know, relief and perhaps wider acceptance. But certainly their current status is, you know, quite inhumane. The way they're harassed by the, you know, police, by security agencies.
Experts believe that the current situation of law and order dictates a new environment that is not welcoming for Rohingyans, and it could push their youth into the trap of bad outfits like the newly surfaced ISIL in Karachi.
Well, I say that when you push a certain population and you are not giving them their fundamental rights, which by birth they are taking, even if they are stateless, so they have some rights. So there is a UN, you see, a convention on stateless people. Either they should be declared, but you can't abandon just to ignore them. Obviously, they are very open to the terrorism, open to any mafia.
Yes, absolutely. They are very vulnerable. If any banned outfit, comes to them and says that we're going to give you protection, we will provide you food, accommodation, or weapons, certainly I think, they have nothing to lose, because their position in Pakistan is so precarious. Every day they're harassed by the police. There's no sense of security among them. So they are certainly vulnerable to such groups.
I know them quite well. They are basically Islamist and religious minded people. And their leadership is also in the safe hands as far as I understand and I know. So I don't think that they will fall prey to all these fatalities. But the danger is always there. It is hanging here and there. So they can become a victim of that type of thing.
The decades-old hardship of Rohingya Muslims at the hands of Myanmar government needs a global humanitarian response. Countries like Pakistan that hosts a large population of Rohingyans can take their issue to global forums to resettle Rohingyans in their own homeland. Meanwhile, the night of their hardship is far from over, as international community lacks the will to resolve the problem. The United Nations is also preoccupied with multiple global issues, so unlike East Timor or South Sudan, solution for Rohingyans may take longer, similar to Kashmir and Palestine.